Hey there, quick question that we get all the time. Give me some tactical examples of what an OBM does in their day-to-day. So here are the top three that we hear all the time. First, creating the foundation for the business so that it can scale. But what does that mean? That means looking at the business as a whole and implementing all of the systems and all of the technologies and integrations so that all of the data talks to each other. So let's walk through an example. So maybe your CRM is HubSpot, but you want everything that comes in from HubSpot to go into your email provider, which is MailChimp. How do you connect the two through a webhook like Zapier, figuring out all of that, writing the standard operating procedures of how that works, and maintaining that entire system so all the data flows together and it is a seamless process so that your client, the coach, consultant, business owner, never has to think about that ever again. So that's number one. Number two, looking at financials and owning the financials and the projections of what is happening in the future. So let's say that your client comes to you and says, hey, I want to triple my business by the end of the year. It is your job to build that financial plan, figure out what the key goals throughout the year and benchmarks will be, and then track to see if you are managing and tracking towards those or not. So oftentimes you will have weekly, monthly, quarterly meetings to understand, hey, are we hitting these goals so we can hit our end goal at the end of the year? And if we're not, what do we need to do from a budget wise, from a focus standpoint, or even a bandwidth standpoint in order to make that happen? So that is number two. Another number three is client onboarding and offboarding. There are a ton of details when it comes to, hey, a client has signed on to you, what happens from contract all the way to, hey, they are onboarding and rocking and rolling. A lot of CEOs need help making sure that all of the tech is sorted, all of the documents are sent, all of the meetings are scheduled, and making sure that that new client feels welcomed and has that feeling of the brand that they really want to project. So that is something that an OBM could be responsible for. Then zooming out as they're doing all that client onboarding and then offboarding, and figuring out how do we make this process even better? What are the tech tools that we can bring in so that it happens quicker, that it happens automated, so that less of the OBM's time even has to do anything, or maybe that more data is collected. So looking at it from that angle too. So as a quick recap, here are three tactical examples of what an OBM would do. First and foremost, laying the foundation of all the technology, all the systems and SOPs, standard operating procedures for a client. That's number one. Number two was, what was number two? Need to drink more coffee. Financials. Number two, looking at the financials and making sure that your projections, you are tracking to them and breaking them up into smaller goals. Then number three is onboarding and offboarding clients and zooming out and figuring out, hey, how can we make this process even better for the clients and for us? So if you have any more questions about what an OBM does on a day-to-day and what kind of tasks they tackle, let us know.